welcome back to TomGirl. I missed you guys, but I hope you had a wonderful spring break, and we're going to get right back at it. So we're back at TomGirl, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. And today we have model, Refinery29 host, and women in STEM advocate, Daron Dean. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
All right, so happy to be back at it. Hey guys, I'm JJ Jurgens, and tonight I have an amazing TomGirl, Daron Dean. Welcome, Daron.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Me too. I was telling you before that I was so excited when I was researching you because I was just going down the line and it was like one thing after the next. It was just like TomGirl, TomGirl. Oh, we're going to talk about that.
I know. Totally fits our brand, right?
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing. So this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Let's first start talking about your modeling career.
Yes.
How did you get started in modeling?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny, actually. My mom, being the wonderful stage mother that she is, and I say that with a very endearing tone because I feel like she just knew that I could do something like this, and I never even thought this was in the realm of possibilities for somebody like me. So anyways, Torrid, it's a plus size brand. They have like a model search every year. So when I was a senior in high school before I went to college, I was like, oh mom, they're having a modeling contest. That's funny. That'd be funny if I joined. And she's like, no, you have to join. Like, you have to enter. So I was like, okay, like, I'm not going to tell anybody else about it. I'm just going to join. Pretty much only tell my mom, not tell my friends, because this could be embarrassing if I lose. So anyways, I entered and I ended up being one of the winners. And I got flown to LA to do like a runway show. And from that, my first agency saw my photos and they're like, hey, we want to sign you. So I was like, okay. And pretty much ever since then, that was like 2009. Ever since then, I've been modeling. So.
And you're with a different agency now.
Yeah, so I'm with an agency in LA, Natural Models LA. They're absolutely amazing. The founder, she also is a plus size model, and her whole thing is healthy is the new skinny. So we have models ranging, I think, from like 6 to 20. So we have basically the full spectrum of women at our agency, which I think is awesome. And we have all different backgrounds and ethnicities. So it's really great to be part of an agency that really sort of encompasses what a woman is and all different types of women. It's great.
Talk about your process along the way from that first agency to this one, and then kind of finding your footing and your style in this world.
Yeah, honestly, it was really hard because when I first signed, I was a teenager. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I'm going to get signed and I'm going to then be on runway shows every single day. And that's not how it works. And I think for me, because I just didn't even know what I was doing, didn't really know about the industry at all. I was pretty lost for a while. I'm not gonna lie. And I think it's important to note that not everybody in this industry has the right motives, I'll say. This is an agent or this is an industry where people want to make money and they need to make money off of you. And they will, even if it's at your expense. So I will say that, I definitely have worked with people who didn't have my best interest in mind. And that was pretty hard. But I think after a couple years of, learning the industry and learning how it works and the ups and downs of it, and I think also staying true to myself. So I'm sure with any sort of entertainment, whether it be modeling, acting, anything like that, there is this huge emphasis on, well, how many followers do you have? Yes. And the best way for a girl to get followers is to, be more scandalous in her pictures. And that's just not my personality. Like, I've literally had pictures where I'm like, okay, this would probably get me a lot of likes, but I'm like, if I post this wouldn't be me. This wouldn't be Daron. Yeah. So I've really stayed true to myself. And, if you go to my Instagram, there's not really anything like that, because that's just, I post what I want when I want. I don't post for other people's pleasure, basically. It's for me. And I think because of that, it's been sort of like a slow sort of, push forward. But because of that, I've been able to find agencies and agents who sort of fit who I am, which I think is really, really great. Like, I think when before I got signed to Natural, I found her Instagram or her Facebook, and her whole thing was healthy is the new skinny. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, yes, obviously, and health can mean so many different things, and it can look, so different from person to person. So I was like, that's something I want to be a part of, because that is totally something that I'm into. And from that, I found, another agent who, she started the company on her own. And this is my this is my commercial agent. So she started the agency on her own. So it's a really small agency, and she's not really into sort of the politics and stuff of the entertainment industry. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's also something that I'm into. I don't like the politics of it. I just want to work. That's it. Yeah. And then from her, she had a friend who started a different agency for theatrical. Same thing. She started her own agency because she didn't like how things were going. And she also doesn't like the politics of it. So just staying true to myself, I think, has really helped me to find the right avenues as far as agents and stuff. And I think it's hard because you see other people getting ahead by basically selling themselves out a little bit. So I'm glad that that I stayed true to myself, because I feel like I've found people who really care for me as a human being and also want me to do well in this industry. So it's definitely been a long road, but I think, like I said, staying true to myself and, what I believe in has really helped me to find the right people, which I think is huge in this industry.
And how did that feel when you knew, like, I'm sure that was difficult at the beginning, like if you maybe did those other things, you might have got followers faster, but then knowing like, okay, I stuck with what I really believe in, and now these doors are opening in ways that I can get behind and I believe in.
Exactly. I think, I think the main thing is that at the end of the day, you're the only person that can go to bed and be like, I feel good about myself and what I'm doing and what I'm putting out in the world. And I can do that every single night and know that, yes, this is me. I'm not confused about what I stand for, about what I mean, about what I put out there. And that feels amazing. And I think that there's so many people. It's so easy in this industry to sort of want to sell yourself out or want to sort of follow the trends. But then, the trends change all the time. So are you just going to keep changing for everybody else? Or you're going to stay true, to yourself and, let the industry come to you. And that would be my biggest advice to people who are trying to get into like acting, modeling, anything like that, is stay true to yourself, because what you bring to the table is going to be completely different from what anybody else can. And if you're constantly trying to follow those trends, you're not going to be able to show people those really amazing things about yourself that nobody else has.
From a business perspective, what kinds of things do you do to help further your career? Do you wait for your agents to do things, or do you are you out seeking work yourself and bringing things to them? Yeah,
so I let my agents do it because I know that they are, the experts in that. If there's really somebody that I'm like, hey, this is really somebody that I want to work for and somebody that I, think that we would mesh, I'll tell my agent and then they can push me. But as far as, emailing places myself, I don't really do that. I know that there are a lot of models that do that. But again, a lot of times companies want to see how big your following is, because if they post your picture and tag you, or if you post a picture, in their clothes and tag them, they want to know how many people are going to see it. I don't have a lot of followers because I don't really care about that. It doesn't make me feel good about myself. So, I just let my agents do that. I just let them handle it. That's why I have them. I'm like, I trust you. And, I have really amazing agents and people behind me. So I trust them to do all that hard work.
And they've done a great job, because you've had some great clients like Kohl's, JCPenney's. Talk about some of your clients that you've worked for.
Yeah. So my first ever client was Bon-Ton, and that's basically like a department store in the Midwest. I've worked with Kohl's. I worked with JCPenney. I've done a couple campaigns for JCPenney, which was awesome. I've worked for Walmart. And then most recently I worked for Nike, which was huge. That's like the very, when I first started modeling, I was like, okay, that's who I want to work for. That's who I want to work for. And it was kind of cool how I got it, because as a model, you go to all these different castings and, you never get it, or you go to the same casting. Like I've been to a Nike casting probably 3 or 4 times. And this one, I didn't even go to a casting. My agents were like, okay, send us a video of you running and send us a video of you stretching or whatever. And then, that same day, and then that same day, they're like, okay, they want to book you for 2 days. So I was like, okay, I'm not
same
really,
day.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how that worked, but I'm not going to question it. So sometimes, you can go to castings for the same company a couple different times, and, for some reason or another, there's a different producer, there's a different, somebody involved that, sees you and you fit, whatever vision that they're going for. So that was huge. That's like the coolest thing that I've done so far.
What was the shoot like for this?
Yeah, so that was really cool. So the running picture outside, we got to go to Griffith Park, which if you're not in LA, that's just a really huge, pretty famous park in LA. So that was cool. And then for the yoga shots, we were actually in a studio kind of near downtown. So it was really cool to be around. I mean, and we had a bunch of different girls that shot that campaign as well, and they were ranging in sizes too. So we had like straight size, which if you don't know, that's I think 0 to 2, maybe 4, and plus size is anything 6 and above, which to me it sounds crazy, but yeah,
Yes.
6 and above is
It's
considered
crazy.
plus size. So whatever that means to you. But yeah, so we had a bunch of range of sizes as well, which was cool to see that, you know, you don't have to be, 130 pounds and like ripped to be fit and to be healthy and to work out. So to see that being promoted, that's really huge because I've always been plus size, but I've always been active. And, before semi-recently, I would think, this type of body wasn't sort of seen as, oh, she definitely can't be athletic. Oh, she definitely can't, and it's crazy to me. It's so crazy because, I have so many friends too who I played basketball with whose bodies don't look like the typical athlete or whatever you want to call it. So it's really cool to sort of see that slowly change to, all different types of bodies can be athletic and can work out. So it's cool.
Let's talk about your athletic background a bit, which I thought she had to be pumped to be on Nike because being an athlete all your life, like that's been one of the biggest.
Yes.
We've seen their campaigns for years and how they have like included women and grown through their advertising and stuff. So that had to just be an incredible moment.
Yeah, no, it was really awesome. I think because when I was younger, I definitely was a tomboy and I literally wore like basketball shorts and t-shirts to school every single day and probably like head to toe Nike. So, to be picked to be on a campaign for them was so huge because I've been, a consumer, first of all, for a very long time, but also somebody that, I'm an athlete. Like I have considered myself an athlete for a very long time. And, for them to sort of put out that different bodies, again, can be athletes and can be healthy and can be active is so huge. And I only wish that I would have seen an ad like that, when I was little. And I was like, well, wait, there's something wrong with me. Like, I'm a lot bigger than my friends. I'm a lot bigger than my sisters. So I hope that, seeing me or seeing another plus size woman or somebody that's shorter or taller than what, the typical model looks like. Hopefully girls that are seeing that are like, you know what, I can do that. I can also be an athlete. I can also do what she's doing.
You said that playing a college sport is one of my proudest accomplishments because such a small percentage of people do it, and I stuck with the dream even when people said I couldn't. Tell me about that.
Yeah, being a college athlete and, because you told me that you played basketball, it's really hard. It's hard to play a sport because, you're expected to give 110% to that, but you're also expected to give 110%, in your schoolwork too. That was really, really hard. And, whatever level you compete at, it's going to be difficult. Whether you play at a community college, whether you play at, at a 4-year school, or, if you're a graduate student, it's going to be hard no matter where you go. And again, there's not a lot of people that are able to complete both. So, being able to say that, yes, I was a college athlete and yes, I also got my degree as well at the same time feels really, really amazing.
But not only just a degree, you were studying biology as well, which is no cakewalk.
Yes. I studied bio. I don't know what I was thinking. I was crazy to think that I could somehow manage my time like that. But yeah, bio is hard because there's so many labs and labs are like 3-4 hours long. And not only that, but obviously the content is, pretty difficult. I would consider myself pretty smart, but also it's hard when you don't have a lot of time to study. So yeah, I look back and I'm like, did you sleep? Yeah. Was it a lot of caffeine? But somehow I got it done. And I think, all the kudos goes to my, mainly to my mom for teaching us work ethic. When you start things, you finish them. I think having that mindset and, learning that when I was really, really young helped me a lot in my adult life with pretty much everything that I do. So.
And how has being able to manage your time like that between practice and school? Yeah. And how has that helped you now with your career?
Yeah, so it has helped a lot. I would say, right now I'm actually in nursing school, so I don't have a lot of time, but I also have my show. And I also, model too when I have time. So knowing how to manage your time is huge, I think, in any industry that you're in, but especially when you are in an industry where you don't have time and things can be last minute. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot of life skills, I would say, by playing a sport and also, finishing my degree.
Do you have any favorite moments from being on the team in college?
Oh man, so many. Well, okay, so my freshman year of college, I actually went to the East Coast, and that's where I met my best friend. So that was by far my favorite moment of my freshman year. And then after that, I transferred to school back, towards home in Portland, Oregon. And I believe it was my second 2 years there, we went to the NCAA tournament. And that's been my goal ever since I was little, to go to the NCAA tournament. So I think those are my favorite moments. But also, when you're part of a team like that, those people become your family for the rest of your life. So I'm still in contact with a lot of the people that I played with, and I see them, whenever I go home. So having that lifelong friendship it's really like a family is something that you can only get when you play sports. I definitely don't take that for granted. That's huge.
There's also, I think sometimes as great as college sports are, sometimes there are some downtimes too. I think like you talked a little bit about when you went to the East Coast, it wasn't necessarily working out for you. But you stuck it out and you waited and came home after the end of the year. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I say that's like my dark year. That's my dark year.
We all got them in college or something that happened.
So if you went to college, there's like a little bit of a dark period at some point in time. It's not a big deal. So I am from Washington, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave Washington. This place is too small. I'm going to go to the East Coast as far away as I can. So my mom, me, and my younger sister drove across country. And, everything was great. And then, when it was time for them to leave, I was like, wait a minute. Like, I'm literally on my own now, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So not only that, but I felt at that particular school, I didn't really fit in that well. So I felt pretty isolated besides my best friend that I had there. And that was a pretty new feeling to me, because I didn't really have issues making friends. I have been, part of band, part of basketball, soccer. So I had tons of friends in high school. So this was a pretty new feeling to me. And not only that, but my family was so far away, and they're like my lifeline. Like my mom and my sisters are like my lifeline. So it was definitely a struggle. But again, my mom was like, okay, you can finish this out. Like, you can do it. This is not that big of a deal. Calm down. Like, you'll look back on this and you'll be like, okay, that was no big deal. So I finished out that year, and I'm definitely glad that I did. Because it gave me time to think about where I actually want to go to school and, what I actually want to do. And I was able to choose a school that, when I got there, I was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for in a school. So, yeah, it was definitely a hard time for me. But like I said, I met my best friend there, and she is also one of the reasons why I somehow made it out of that unscathed, I would say. So her, along with the support of my family, obviously helps a lot. But yeah, just learning how to stick things out when it gets a little tough. That's going to happen to you no matter what part of your life you're in. I'm definitely glad that I, took that in stride and, know how to deal with hard things when they come at me. So
yeah, that's what I think's great, because it's, you could have left or, not finish it out, but it's like, those are when you do learn a lot about your character and your soul and like what you have in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk a little. You brought up your mom.
Yes.
I love that you. So you grew up in a small town.
Yes, Brush Prairie, Washington.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a little small country town with cows crossing the road, and it is.
And I want to see it. So you were on an acre, multi-acre.
Yeah. So my mom has about 2 acres, and we've had pretty much any animal you can think of. We've had like chickens, cows, horses, all that kind of stuff, dogs, cats. So I've experienced the farm life, you could say. But it was a lot of fun. And, when I was really young, the internet wasn't like a huge thing yet. It was still the dial-up where it had, you took 10 minutes just to get on. And once you're on, what do you even do? So my mom would kick us out of the house a lot and be like, you know what, go outside, like leave me alone. So we had to like make up our own fun, basically. And, living on that much land, there's a lot of things to do. I loved catching bugs, frogs, like any animal I could catch and just like hold. I loved that. And, in my family, it's been known, if you see an injured animal, you bring it home when you nurse it back to health. So a lot of that happened at my mom's house, to her dismay, probably, that we'd bring in all these wild animals to her house. But that was so fun. And I think that, being outside definitely helped me to sort of explore this this love for science and, you know, things around me and, you know, the curiosity of what's happening in the world around me. I think that really helped to sort of nurture that inside me and probably, you know, was the main reason why I wanted to study science when I was older.
And you were saying too that it was how you kind of relate to being a Tom girl because you didn't want to be inside like playing with dolls.
Yeah, exactly.
You wanted to be out getting dirty.
Yes, exactly. I loved climbing trees. You know, I love being dirty. I love riding four-wheelers. So I think that also helped to sort of, you know, get a little tougher. And, you know, I wasn't too into like the girly stuff. I have 3 sisters and they were all into, you know, dressing up. Let's do a little fake fashion show. Let's do this. And I would just stand on the sideline and be like, this is so lame. Like, let's go do something. Let's go do something else. So having 3 sisters that were into that, you know, was a little harder because I didn't really relate to a lot of things that they were into. But yeah, it was still a ton of fun. And I think growing up with 3 sisters as well was quite interesting. You know, fighting over clothes, fighting over hair straighteners, fighting over all this stuff, but we're close now. But I definitely miss those times of just, you know, being forced to go outside and make your own fun because now, you know, anything you want, you know, you can get it with, you know, one click of your phone. Yeah. So things are a lot different now, you know, and I see you know, parents that are giving their kids iPads and all this stuff, which is totally fine. You know, times are changing, but I'm like, wow, like what would it have been like if I wasn't forced to go outside? If I could just stay inside and, you know, watch a movie or do this or do that. But that literally wasn't an option when I was younger, and I'm kind of thankful for it. Yeah,
me too. We grew up with, like, I think we had an hour a day we could be on a screen or so, and that maybe even been a half hour. I think that might have been until we got older. But same thing. I feel like we were always out at the lake doing, you know, making forts, being out there. And I do look at kids now too, and I'm like, gosh, I'm grateful to have grown up in that time too.
Yeah, I know. And you know, there wasn't like on demand. It was like if you wanted to watch something, it was probably on a VHS. Yes. So you have to rewind it. You know, it's just a lot. It was a lot harder to you know have that screen time, and now it's a lot easier. So I'm thankful. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I do that every week. I usually do dump ones.
But yeah, so I'm definitely thankful that I grew up in a time where, you know, that literally wasn't an option. I feel like I learned a lot. Your mom also put you into everything. You did all kinds of bands. Oh, yeah. So tell us about all the different things that you did and what you learned doing all of those. Yeah, so she pretty much allowed us and also probably kind of forced us to try everything. I had piano lessons. I did art lessons. I was in band. I tried every single sport you can imagine. And I did dance for a while. And, you know, I think her mentality is, okay, let's try all this stuff and a couple things will probably stick. and it did. And it definitely did because when I was in middle school, I started playing in band and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I also loved playing soccer and playing basketball. So those were the couple of things that like really stuck. And so high school, I switched to saxophone and I played saxophone all 4 years of high school. I was in jazz band and wind ensemble. Marching band, pep band, and it was so fun. Like, and you were in band too, so you know, like the band culture is so different from any sort of sport culture, and like I can't even explain, you know, without going on forever what the band culture is like. Like if you're in band, you know what the culture is like, and it's so different and it's so fun. But then I also had like my sports families. You know, I was I played soccer, I played basketball, so I also had, you know, that outlet as well. You know, she also cultivated me and, you know, and my sisters to do well in school as well. Which, you know, maybe this is kind of shady parenting, but she would say, okay, for every A you get in class, I'll give you like $5 basically. And, you know, when you're a kid, you're motivated by money because how else do you make money, you know, when you're 15 years old? You know, so that was big too, because that helped me to work hard in classes, even classes that I wasn't very good at. You know, I'm not good at history. I'm not that good at English. That helped to motivate me to do well in school as well. So, so those, you know, I think having her sort of put us into everything and try everything out really helped us to sort of, you know, find our avenue and find the stuff that we liked. And not only that, but she, you know, whatever it was that we chose to do, she supported us 1,000%. So even at school, if somebody called me a band nerd or whatever, I was like, you know what? I don't even care. Like, this is fun. You know, my mom thinks it's cool, so I'm going to stick with it. And I think that's an important thing for people to learn. And it's hard when you're that young, because when you're that young, you're mainly influenced by the people around you. So it's hard when people are calling you names and stuff like that. But another thing is being surrounded by the people that, you know, don't call you names. So, I mean, the people that are in band, they're band nerds too. So they're not going to call you a band nerd. And, the same, with your athlete family, they're not going to call you names for playing sports. So it's important to surround yourself with those kind of people, because the people that are calling you names and stuff, those are the people that are insecure and just trying to bring you down. So I'm very grateful that my mom sort of allowed us to sort of, explore all those different options, because we all kind of landed on different things. I was more the athlete and the tomboy, and my sisters were more girly and into like other things. I think it definitely helps to, like I said, explore those options. I feel like a lot of people don't really get that opportunity to explore all those different things. And I know that even my sister, she's like, dang, I wish I would have stayed in band. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this. And I'm like, I did everything I wanted to do and I was happy about it. I think it was great. It was really, really great. And I have amazing memories of high school and middle school and, having fun.
You have a lot of great messages that you speak out now in your daily work. And one of the things you talk about is when you realized you had a moment growing up of when all of a sudden you realized that you might be different. You felt different. Talk about how you talk about that message.
That was pretty hard. So every summer, my mom and dad would basically force us to go to my grandma's house, which is fine. But when I was in like third grade, that's when I started to get like a lot taller and like a little more chubby than my friends and my sisters. And I remember going to her house one summer and, she asked us, oh, what do you guys want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do with your life? And, when you're little, it's probably something really random that you'll probably never end up doing, but it's still cool to think about. So my grandma asked me and I was like, and at that point I was obsessed with horses. I like loved horses so much and all I wanted to do was be a horseback rider. So I told her that and she was like, well, you can't do that. And I was like, well, why not? Like my mom and dad had never once said anything about, like you can't do that because of this, or, there's, something in you that will basically make it so that you can't do that. Sorry, this is kind of hard to talk about. I haven't talked about it for a minute, so I'm like, oh my gosh, the feelings are bubbling up. The feelings are bubbling.
Well, it hit me when I read about it because I'm like, what a strong message you're saying. Because we all do hear it from some,
Yeah, and I think this is relatable. I think everybody at some point hears a comment like this, and they're like, wait a minute, what? Like, I didn't know that I couldn't do this. So I told my grandma, and she said, you probably can't do that because you're too big. You're too big to ride horses. And in my mind, I was like, what the heck? Like nobody's ever told me that. So pretty much from that point on, I was extremely conscious about it. I was like, wait a minute, like I am bigger than my sister. Oh wait, I am a lot taller than my friends. And in my mind, that was a problem. That was an issue. Anybody looking at that would be like, no, like you're fine. You're in third grade. Like you're different than everybody else. That's totally fine. But when you're told that at such a young age, you don't know any different. And like I said, I think everybody has some sort of relatable moment, whether, somebody says, oh, you're not smart enough to do that. You're not tall enough to do that. And even when I was playing basketball, I got told you're not tall enough to play in college. You're not fast enough. You're not this enough. Like to somebody, you're never going to be that enough, I think that's very relatable. Everybody, like I said, has some sort of moment like that where something triggers in their mind and they're like, wait a minute, like I've never been told that. And they start to doubt themselves a lot. So pretty much from, I would say, like third grade, like at that moment, third grade to probably like sixth or seventh grade, I was like really self-conscious about it and like really noticed that I was, a lot taller and a lot bigger than my friends. And it was really hard because all my sisters are like 5 foot and really tiny. And I'm like 5'10" and like, a size 12, 14. So I'm like, literally what happened in the genes there to make me like this and them like that. And I wanted to literally be them for so long. And then I think what kind of changed that was when I was in high school, basically basketball and sports kind of changed that because I would always get picked first to be on the team because I was good. I was really good. And people wanted me to be on their team because they would win if I was on their team. And I was like, wait a minute, like this is an asset. This is something that is great that people like and that is, really beneficial and on this team. So I think playing sports really helped me to realize that because, if you think about it in, sort of an easy way, if everybody was, 5 foot and tiny, no team would be good, whether that's a soccer team, a basketball team, whatever team you're thinking about. Teams need all different types of bodies, all different types of people, and that's the only way they can be successful. And sort of realizing that, I was like, wait a minute, like this is not a problem at all. I don't know what my grandma was talking about, but I'm fine. I was like, this is great. And I think also that comment sort of motivated me. I was like, you know what? If people say I'm not going to do something, I'm going to show them 10 times over that, there's nothing that can stop me. So from then, and then I think in like my freshman or sophomore year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this basketball team to the state tournament because I had never been there. So I worked my butt off like every single summer, going to personal training, going to all these different, events to get better. In my senior year, we finally went to state. So I was like, you can put in the work, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Again, I think it's hard because it's hard to not sort of listen to the side chatter and the people that are telling you that you can't do things. It's really, really hard, especially when people keep telling you that. But, staying focused on that goal and just, knowing that it's something that I really love to do helped me a lot and, sort of helped me to get over that hump of sort of, self-doubt and, thinking that there was something wrong with the way that I was just because of how I looked.
Yeah, people don't realize how when they say things like that it plants that seed and it just can grow the self-doubt. But I do think that's one thing I love about sports is I think you can find your confidence in there. And when you're on that court or that field or whatever, I feel like that stuff is just gone. You don't think about those people,
exactly.
like you're just in it and it's just freeing.
It really is a different world. And I think also that's how I felt about bands too, because nobody cares about what you look like in band. They just care if you can play your instrument good, So I think band also helped as well, but especially sports, mainly because they needed somebody tall and strong. And, I was able to, fit that mold. But yeah, whatever size, whatever you look like, whatever you're into, whether it's sports, whether it's art, whether it's band, all those things can sort of, bring about that confidence, I think. And it just happened to be sports for me.
Well, you've kind of brought this all together, like your bubbly personality, your modeling, that you also are an advocate for women in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But you put this in now into your own show. Talk about your show on Twitch. Deep Dive.
Yes, Deep Dive with Daron. It's on every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the Refinery29 Twitch channel. So how this sort of happened was I was working with a different media company, and they were kind of toying around with the idea of having like a science segment with me. And then my friend who actually works at Refinery, she noticed that Twitch was sort of this big sort of black hole, if you will, of content creators. And, there's a lot of viewers. I think still it's like the number one, streaming platform. And at first it started out with just gamers. So, if you'd go on there, you could watch people play video games. But now it's sort of morphed into you can go on there and watch anybody do anything. So there's people that are painting. There's people that are doing like different art. There's people that are, writing songs on there and performing them. And there's people that are just doing talk shows too. So my friend was like, okay, I'm going to try to tap into this, like, this untapped source of viewers here. And so she created the Refinery29 Twitch channel, and she asked me to do a science segment. And one of my friends does a sort of like murder mystery type thing. And then another girl does, the typical gaming stuff. So we have, something for everybody on there. But yeah, so it sort of started like that. And we talk about a lot of different stuff on there.
You say you cover science-based topics for millennial interests, from climate change to the science of hangovers, coffee, and skincare. I want to hear about the science of hangovers.
Oh my goodness. So I try to cover a range of things that I think people would be interested in, because I think sometimes people don't understand that science is happening all around us at all times of the day. And if you just like stop and think about, well, wait, how does that work? Well, how does that work? How does coffee even keep me awake? How do I cure myself of a hangover? Do different alcohols give worse hangovers? Which is actually true. There are these things, I forget the actual name, but there's these toxins in, I think, like dark alcohol that basically, are like so much more toxic than regular alcohol. And those things sort of like stay behind even when your body is trying to metabolize the other stuff out. So if you like to drink the darker stuff, keep that in mind. But yeah, so my whole thing was to sort of explain it in a way that even if you've never taken a science class in your life, you can understand. Because I think that is sort of a block that I see in science is people are presenting it and it's so confusing. Even me sometimes, like I've read scientific articles and I've had to write scientific papers, and sometimes I'm still like, wait a minute, what are you even saying? Like, can you just spell it out really easily for me so that I can get the main message? So I want to basically be that sort of middleman and filter out all the jargon and give people a simple way to sort of digest interesting information. And yeah, so we do really, really light stuff. And then, my little sister who is studying environmental science, she's really a big advocate for climate change and climate change policy. So I had her on, and I had her come on and talk about, climate change and how we can help and stuff like that. This Tuesday, I'm having a girl who is a statistician come on. I've had a girl who is who is an aerospace engineer. So I try to find, and I usually find them on Instagram, I try to find different women in STEM to come on, because, I mean, even when I was in high school and college, there wasn't a lot of girls in my classes. So, along with me doing the show, having different people come on that are in different sectors of the science world, hopefully somebody will watch it and be like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, I can't believe she's an aerospace engineer. Like, how can I even do that? So yeah, I'm hoping to also motivate people, to show them that, they can do it. And, there's lots of different women that are out there in the STEM world. And if they can do it, you can too.
What have you loved most of kind of bringing your knowledge to now the Twitch format?
You know what? That's a good question. I think trying to find ways to explain really complicated topics in an easy to digest format, I feel like that's the most fun for me. Because like that's how I am as a person. I'm really, really laid back. And I don't like, all the extra noise and the jargon. So I think that's the most fun thing for me, is trying to figure out ways and different metaphors that I can use, to explain things. Like, that's how I explain how coffee keeps you awake, right? So there's these things in your brains called receptors, and they're basically like a lock. Okay, so there's these keys that, when you put them in, they're the only ones that fit. Okay, and these things accumulate throughout the day, and they make you tired. So when they get onto the receptor, they open up and they tell your body that you're tired. Caffeine fits in that receptor, but it doesn't open the lock, right? So it's a key that fits, but it doesn't open the lock. So it basically tricks your body into thinking that it's awake, which is why I feel that crash a little bit later in the day. So yeah, so trying to figure out, little metaphors like that it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly how that works in real life.
Love it.
Yeah, trying to figure out things like that. That everybody can understand, because I think understanding science and also just understanding how important it is in the world, even if I can get somebody excited about coffee or the drink they had last night, that's a win for me, because that's one more person that's like thinking about it in their brain.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, because I think you're right. The way science is presented a lot when you're younger, you do, like, sometimes if it's over your head or you're not sure, but like, it's fascinating. I've watched your show, and to hear the way you break it down and in a fun way, and with fun little videos and pictures and stuff, behind.
Yeah, exactly. Got to have a couple visuals. I'm definitely a visual learner, so I'm like, okay, got to have some pictures, because I can't learn without pictures. And I know there's other people out there like that. They can't learn without photos. So got to have those in there.
Well, another wonderful thing, I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to talk about, you're also going to be in Shrill coming up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Huge project.
Yes. Yeah. So Shrill came out a little earlier this year in May, and it's basically a story about a girl who happens to be plus size, and she's just trying to navigate her way through the world, but the world is constantly reminding her that she's overweight. So it's basically her story, and the main star is Adie Bryant. So my scene, I got to work with her. This is the first acting thing I've ever done. So I was like terrified, first of all, but also she's incredibly amazing. And the scene that I'm in is kind of the pivotal part in the first season, where she comes into this pool party where it's all these different types of women that are wearing bikinis. And she's like, oh my gosh, everybody's fine with themselves. They're not, trying to cover up. They're just enjoying themselves. And, she's covered up at that point. She's like, I don't really I don't really feel comfortable. So my character sort of brings her over to the dance floor. And that's where she sort of, starts to unleash and starts to, just starts to not care what anybody thinks about her or her body. So it's a really, really great show, and it's very binge worthy because each episode is, I think, only like 20 to 25 minutes, and there's 6 episodes for the first season. So it's very binge worthy. If you guys haven't watched it, it's amazing. I would highly suggest it. I think, even if you have never struggled with, being overweight, I think everybody has, somewhat at some point in their lives struggled with something that has to do with body image. And if you have, then you can definitely relate to the main character of the show.
And such a great project. I mean, it's got like powerful names like behind this, Lord Michaels, Saturday Night Live, and Elizabeth Banks have been part of it.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, director from
Portlandia, right?
Yeah, and another one from Glow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Glow. So
yeah, it's a great show, and it's so great that it was actually recently just renewed for season 2. Right. So, it's a really, really amazing show. I highly suggest it, not just because I'm in it, but because it has a really, really great message, and it's really funny, too. It's so funny, and it's so clever. So, yeah, definitely watch that if you guys haven't watched that yet.
All right. Well, before I let you go, I'm going to do a quick game.
Okay.
Just short questions. You can,
All right. I'm ready.
So this is called the Deep Dive with Daron.
Oh, no.
All right. So what's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
The biggest risk I've ever taken was probably packing up my car with my dog and moving to LA.
Your dog is so cute, too, by the way.
He's cute. He's cute. He's
What's
too
his
much.
name?
Wally.
Wally.
Yes.
I love it. When was the last time you were scared?
The last time I was scared, you know what? That's a great question. I was a little bit nervous coming into the interview today just because I didn't really know what to expect. That's probably lame. But probably the last time I was scared was before my last exam in nursing school, which was a couple weeks ago. So.
And this wasn't scary, right?
No. Pain-free.
Good.
Pain-free.
All right. What's a goal you want to accomplish?
A goal I want to accomplish is become a nurse practitioner. Yes.
Your go-to pick-me-up song.
Go-to pick-me-up song? Ooh, that's a good question. I really like Shake It by Metro Station. It's so old school.
What's a sport that you have not played yet but would like to learn or try?
Let's see. A sport that I have not played but would like to try. I would love to become somewhat good at tennis. That's one sport I didn't try when I was younger. And Serena Williams makes it look amazing and so fun. So that's definitely something I'd like to try.
I agree with you on that one. My dad was a tennis coach and we never played it.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm like, that's the one that's kind of a lasting one too. You
can play that for, pretty much as long as you can. Yeah.
Are you a golfer?
No. Oh my gosh. I can't. Yeah. I will just say no. I'll just say no on that.
All right. A last question. What is something that your fans would be surprised to know about you?
Oh man. I think people would be surprised. I think people are always surprised when I tell them that I play video games. I love playing video games. I have a PS4. So that's definitely something people are surprised about when I tell them.
What's your favorite game?
My favorite game right now is Assassin's Creed. If you guys know what that is, then you know. But yeah, Assassin's Creed is my favorite right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're fantastic. I just tell everybody where they can follow you and anything you have coming up next, if there's things they can look out for.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Daron, my first name, Daron.Alana, Alanna. My Twitter, I think, is Daron frickin' Dean. And then I'm on Refinery29's Twitch channel doing Deep Dive with Daron every Tuesday at 5 p.m. You can find that at twitch.tv/Refinery29. Let's see, those are my socials. Anything coming up every Tuesday I have my show, and that's kind of like my main focus right now, other than, doing random modeling jobs. So definitely check me out on Tuesday. It's great because it's really dynamic. You can make an account and then you can chat with me live. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Is it's really interactive. So make an account and chat with me. Let me know that you saw me on here so I can say hi to you.
Make a whole night of it, guys. You can watch her at 5, then you can turn over and watch this at 6.
Oh my gosh,
you can have
it's
like
meant
2
to
hours,
be.
right?
It's meant to be.
High five. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching this week. We will see you here again next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.